Hey guys, it's Monday morning. The Haas technicians are here getting the UMC 500 all set up. Come along, let's take a closer look. So we're at the back of the machine. It's really impressive to have these covers taken off. You see the heart and soul of the machine, really big, wide castings. You have the X axis that slides really up top here. It's kind of high compared to a VMC, which is down low. And then of course you have the Y axis moving back and forth. So this column moves back and forth. And then attached to that is the Z column that's attached to the front of the Y column. So when you're jogging a 3-axis mill, the thing is when you jog it positive, the table actually moves negative. That's one of those things that as a machinist you have to get beyond, because you're actually jogging the tool in a positive direction. With the UMC, it's a change of thinking, because the spindle actually does move in the direction that you turn the dial. So, and this whole assembly, this layout, that explains it. So let's take a closer look. So those two are some reservoirs for fluid, just gravity fed to the brakes. Those are the brakes for the B and C axis. Down there we have the servo for the B axis. And of course you can't see it, but the C axis would be in the trunnion portion that we could see in the front of the machine. Yeah, so the ball screws on both the X and Y axes are 40 millimeter. They're really beefy. It's really impressive to see this much cast iron moving. So the technicians are leveling the machine right now, so let me sneak in and talk about some of the things that I did not expect. Right here, this is a tool changer. I was thinking it would be like somewhere up here. I mean, that's not, it's weird because the table here is here. Now, you have to keep in mind that the tool changed position, the spindle head goes to the tool change position, and it's not above your work piece like any other vertical. So yeah, it's kind of surprising that it's that low. I love that it has the riser here for the probe. And of course they place the communicator for the probe on the left, not typically on the right like most VMCs. So a bunch of little things, and even like how you turn on the coolant using the gas cap looking thing. So we're looking at the accessory shelf below the pendant. It looks pretty familiar, but this is definitely new. I've not seen this. None of our other machines have this. It's kind of nice. It's actually really impressive. Powder coated shelf here with some different containers and things. This might even be just a drink holder, to be honest. I like it, but it's different from the rest of our machines. So the lean mentality inside of all of our heads around here likes to standardize things. This is not standardized because it is different, but we'll live with it. Maybe we'll like it after a while. We just want to hang stuff. If you look at some of our other machines, we do standardize with the typical wrenches or all the little tools in Kaizen foam. So I don't know how much use this will get, but I still like it. Looks really good. So check out how they rough level the machine. They have a magnet with a bracket that holds the level in place. My question was, how do you put a level on a table that rotates and tilts and everything? Well, that's how. They rough level the spindle first, then get everything in the right place relative to that, then do a final level later on. So let's talk tooling. With a 5-axis machine, you have clearance issues, because remember, when you rotate the platter up on its side, there's a possibility that the enclosure or even the spindle might collide with all the mechanism that's sideways. So longer gauge length tools are typically desirable. So let me show you what I got. We went with the Mari tool, just did a bulk order. Most of these are 4-inch gauge length. Gauge length being the distance from here, which with the Haas is not actually the face of the spindle. It's a theoretical point, but it's right about here to this. This is going to be 4 inches. Now, if you keep in mind that we standardize our tooling around here, for example, I did go with one that's only about 2 inches long. And we did that because with standardized tooling, we know that this is going to hold a 17-30 seconds drill that we always drill the top of the parts that we intend to run in here. So there's no clearance issues on that. I like the thought of having as stubby of a tool as possible. That's why we did that. The other thing that we had to do is buy a bunch of true coolant tool studs. The pull studs in the rest of the shop, we can use any of them, but through coolant tool studs have the hole in the middle. And then that means we also have to have a collet. For example, if we're using ER collets, through coolant compatible collets as well. So also different type of thinking when it comes to the number of accessories that go just besides the tooling. Collets that are coolant compatible, and of course pull studs. So that's what we ended up doing here. Overall, we spent about $3,000 to tool it up. Not every pocket will be filled, but it's pretty close. So right now the technicians are leveling the machine. One guy is watching the level while the other guy, especially on the backside, he's yelling out tighter or looser. Coincidentally, over here, so the VF2 that was in the UMC 500 spot moved over on Thursday, and now we got the same thing going on. My two guys, Carlos is watching the level and John is torquing on it. So that is the way to do it on larger machines. One guy on the bubble, one guy on the screws. And done. It is installed. The UMC 500 is sitting. It's ready to warm up its spindle break-in program. Right now it's about 4 p.m. This took a long time. This was an all-day installation. Usually the VF series, they take about, I don't know, like on average 2 or 3 hours, depending on the technician and the accessories. But the UMC 500, all day. These guys were here at 7 and they're just now going home. Let me talk about some things, my initial thoughts on it. There's quite a few things that took me by surprise. So let's take a look, first of all, inside. After they had gone in and cleaned up all the shipping gunk, whatever that stuff is called, the first thing I noticed was the table. Haas mill tables, they're just machined. I've seen it in the factory with the face mills. This is actually surface ground. You can tell that it's got a nice, flat, beautiful surface. That's neat. That caught me by surprise. The next thing I noticed was the remote jog handle. Honestly, when I bought the machine, I don't have any machines with remote jog handles, but it was really neat to see this suddenly appear. I must have missed that or not paid attention to when I purchased it, but really nice, different than other years. It turns on when you pick it up. Kind of a neat little feature there. I was talking with the guys like, this is such a small, compact machine. Do you really need to be jogging here when you could be jogging here? I know it's nice to switch the axes and jog like that, but where it really comes in handy is when you're going around the other side of the machine and jogging and just working on a setup from the side. In fact, we're probably gonna relocate the holder for this pendant to the other side. It just makes more sense to be on that side of the window. I don't know, feels a little bit lazy to be holding the pendant, you know, instead of that, but whatever, it's an old habit, they die hard. The next thing was just kind of the fit and finish of the machine itself. Beautiful interior, lots of lights. When I look in here, there's a total of 4 20-watt LED lights. There's so much light. You're not struggling with any shadows, at least that I anticipate, but it's definitely a nice thing. It's always best to have more lighting. The The knuckle portion, when I looked at that, I thought, wow, that's pretty beefy. But right in here, it's lacking some, what I would have thought would have been some material that would have added to the rigidity factor. But when I gave it a second look, I'm thinking, wait a minute, there's a hole here. That's for chip clearance. I don't want chips getting piled up here, so it's actually a nice design. And really, the knuckle is already pretty rigid, and then with this tailstock, super rigid, you don't need a bunch of mass here. I haven't run it any cycles or anything like that. I haven't even jogged it, to be honest. You're seeing it with me for almost the first time as well. But when I was watching the guys, the technicians over their shoulder, it actually moves faster than I thought, so that's a nice surprise to me. Now, the other thing that I noticed on the column was the tool release button. Tool release button, it's got a nice flush, good feel to it. It also looks a lot more sealed. In one of our other machines, it's got a button that from the beginning I questioned, is this like IP65, 66 rated? It doesn't look like it. And sure enough, we've had little bits of fidgety problems with it. Like you go to press it and the tool doesn't unlock. I like that Haas changed this. By the way, that is the coolant on off. You can dial it in. Usually it's just like a little valve on the side. I love that they have this nice beefy machined kind of cap looking thing, gas cap thing, because all the coolant goes through the column and on it. I also got the P-Cool option. I was kind of on the fence about it, but after talking with my friend John Saunders, NYC CNC channel on YouTube, he said I should probably get it because the tool lengths change, especially if you noticed that we're gonna have sometimes 4-inch long gauge tooling plus the tool, and then sometimes 2-inch. I wanna make sure that that coolant is directed right at the point of contact, the tip of the tool. And so that's why I went with it. I believe they are field installable, but if you go that route, you just have to pay the technicians for their time. Might as well have it done at the factory. It was about a $1,200 or $1,300 option if I remember correctly. But it's not off to the side. It's more in front of it. I did not expect that. I don't think it's gonna change anything, but I'm glad that I got it. So looking into this, one of the things that surprised me right off the bat was the height of the spindle. So behind you is a model year 2000 mini mill, and the spindle is higher in that machine. This is our lowest spindle. It's not bad. It's hard to get used to. You know, I walked in and went, wow, okay, when are they gonna jog the spindle up? The spindle is jogged up. It might go up just a little bit more to release the tool, but same goes for the tool changer. It's just so low. I was talking with one of my employees that we might build into the post processor a rotation move so that if we have some big part, which we're not gonna do, but in theory, have it relocate the part, either tilt or something like that. So there's no chance of a tool change hitting the part. I don't think that's gonna be the case. We're basically, the machine moves over there and changes it really kind of outside of the working envelope of the machine. But it did catch me off guard at how low and how compact all this is. The other nice thing, you can't get this from a website or even pictures, but the door feels real good. It's nice and smooth. It's the right weight. I've worked on other machines that have really flimsy light doors and they just don't feel right. And like the UMC 750 giant massive door that I know has been a point of complaint for the size of that, this is right. It kind of borrows from the kind of architecture of the mini mills, single opening, single door, easy slide to the left, really great. Another thing is the tool setter. The tool setter is nowhere near the cutting area, but it's close enough. Now, if you were to look at the technical drawing, you would see that the tool setter point is just in the very corner of the travel of the machine, and it sits on a pedestal, which is really nice. I had assumed that it would be back there somewhere. I just didn't see that in the images that were rendered on the Haas site. Maybe it's a change, but I like that it's right there, nice and close. And also because of the P-Cool blowing that way, you're not constantly soaking your tool setter. It can take that, but I just like that it's closer and up front. So one other thing we're definitely going to change, we've done this standardized across all of our mills, is this line. Now this is a braided hose. We're going to keep the hose, but we are going to put some heat shrink tubing on it, because over time this braided hose, when it swings on the front of the machine, you will definitely see some scratches and wear marks. No one comes to work thinking, man, I'm really going to muck up a machine today or scratch it. Some people purposely write on machines. It's not what we do around here. And so by putting some heat shrink tubing on this, it'll just reduce the wear on this paint. We want to keep things pristine around here. We actually put car wax on our machines. It's just easier to clean, protects the paint. Each one of these costs as least as much as a decent sports car. We're going to treat them as such. That's just our company philosophy. Another thing that stands out here is the accessories that we got with the wireless intuitive programming system. So I thought the technician left one of his boxes around until I popped it open. I realized, oh, there are some accessories here that we get to keep. I thought this would be a one-time kind of a setup thing that we don't ever get to see, and it's a tool by the technician, but this is a tool-mounted probe. And so I saw him working with it here. He bolted it down and it was probing this at different angles. I'm not sure what it does. I'm excited to study up on it because I don't really study up on things that I didn't think I'm going to keep, but we're keeping this, so I'm going to learn about it. The other nice thing I noticed is this tool. Now, I did buy from Mari Tool several years ago a calibration tool, and this is the exact same thing. So I know there's probably a set gauge length from the gauge point to the tip of the tool, and as well as the diameter. That's how we dial in our probe. It comes with the machine. I did not expect that. Nice surprise. Really happy with that little addition. Now on the side of the machine, I did not expect this window, this access door, to be this small. I'm just a little bit under 6 feet tall, and yeah, you have to duck under to get in here, but I do feel it's the right size. I wouldn't want it this big open window. It's just right. We're not gonna be getting in here that often, but it's a nice window. It's compact. I like it, it's right. Now up top, we plan on installing one of our mist away mist filters that we have all over the shop on every machine. Up top, knock out the hole that the standard Haas mist collector goes on. The mist away mist collectors work perfectly with that. So we've also wired a plug with a 110 outlet that goes to a switch on the wall that turns on 3 of our mist collectors on the adjacent 2 machines as well. So we're gonna get that installed. So here at the back left corner of the machine, 3 things stand out. Number 1, Haas is standardized with their 55-gallon coolant tanks. We see those on all of our VF machines, our VF2, our VF4 SS. So it's nice to see some familiar parts. Also keeps the cost down, so I understand that as a product manufacturer ourselves. So this was one thing. This is a coolant, a bag-style coolant filter. Now, if you go to our Instagram page, instagram.com, look for Pierson_Workholding, scroll way back, we did a DIY filter kit from McMaster Car Parts for around $150, $200 if I remember correctly. No messing around with this. This has 2 coolant pumps, the standard coolant pump and then the 300 PSI high pressure through spindle coolant pump that goes through this. You do not want grits or fines going through your spindle. I'm glad that this is just included. Okay, front left corner of the machine, this is the belt style chip conveyor. We've only had augers on our Haas machines, and the first time that I experienced problems with augers, it wasn't because of the auger itself. It was because of the type of chips that high-speed milling tool paths create. Long stringy chips, they like to get wrapped and intertwined with each other, and the auger really struggles when it's a big clump. The nice thing about the belt style is if it can touch it, if it can fall on it, it's going out. This also accommodates a 55-gallon drum. So we've already talked about it. We're gonna get a 55-gallon coolant drum, open it, well, It's gonna be empty. We're gonna cut open the top and then put a rolling cart, put it on a rolling cart. I've seen those on different industrial supply sites. And then we're gonna do it here and we're gonna keep it nice. One of the complaints that I have with our scrap guys that come and pick up is, man, those barrels are coming from shops all over. We have really high standards around here. Other shops, not so much, unfortunately. And some of those barrels stink. We don't want any of that stank in this shop. So we're gonna have our own dedicated barrel that we're gonna keep nice, we're gonna keep clean, and we're gonna keep smelling good so it just doesn't gross anyone out. Then we can roll it to the door. The scrap collector dumps it, gives it right back to us. So we standardize with our own stuff. Now I got one more thing to show you. You know, guys, I don't know if I've conveyed it in this video, but I am so excited for this machine. This is the 12th major piece of industrial machinery that I've purchased in my career. And I gotta tell you, it feels like my first machine. Like earlier today, I was standing back watching the guys install it and I was getting butterflies in my stomach. I'm so excited for this new technology that we're bringing on. Now, the other thing that I'm really excited about is the Workholding product line that we're going to be releasing within the next few months. Now, the problem with 5-axis machines is typically you can only work on one part at a time. Our new Workholding system is gonna address that problem, and we wanted to have a 5-axis machine to make 5-axis Workholding for. We're gonna balance it out with other machines around here, but really this is the new gem of the shop. Now, if you're interested in this new product line, look for the link in the description below where you can sign up for an email list where you will be notified, and then you can probably get in on the early adopter discount that we're gonna offer as well. So until next time, go innovate your production.